Hello, thanks for joining us. This is episode 3 of the Strong Athletic Fitness Strongcast. This week we've got Professor Danny Macmillan from Macmillan Martial Arts Academy, and we've got bodybuilder Will Carver. Boys, thanks for coming on.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Right, we're going to start at the bottom. We'll start with you, Will. Will, what got you into bodybuilding in the first place, mate?
Oh god, that's a long story. Truthfully, it was kind of like a chain of events really, but I guess when I was younger, I definitely idolised kind of like superhero physiques and big dudes, Arnie, always used to watch Rocky, and you kind of just, always the main dude involved in the movie back then, like in action movies, was a big dude, right?
Yeah.
So you looked up to big guys. So I always wanted to be bigger and stronger, and I think I got my first dumbbell set when I was like 11 or 12 from my uncle, and it was the plastic York ones that you slammed on the floor hard enough, a bit of concrete would come out, and before you knew it,
I had them ones.
To screw them off on the end,
Yeah.
So I started doing crap with that in my bedroom, and it was really kind of big impact on one of my mum's partners that was in my life at the time. Massively negative impact. I think that kind of accelerated me to really want to get bigger and stronger. So my idea was, if I was big enough and strong enough, I could, fucking basically look after myself.
Yeah.
So that kind of like accelerated a lot of things. Now I got very heavily involved in rugby, and it kind of assisted. And throughout that, I got pretty heavily injured. I couldn't go back into doing any more rugby, and I remember watching Pump and Iron. I was like, yeah, I want to compete. Spent years and years training, and I think it was when I was 23, my last year as a junior. I'd been pretty close with a guy called Alex Shyness, and he's a coach in America, so I used to go back and forth from him now. He kind of said, I wanted some like advice, and I was like, I don't really know when to compete. He was like, just stop fucking about, Will. You're gonna do this the rest of your fucking life and never step on stage, just do it. I was like, alright, cool. So I did my first year, did alright actually, and I was a little bit obsessed from there onwards. So I spent like 6-7 years kind of competing, and I've kind of fallen in and out of it a lot of times. I always trained, but just the idea of competing was, over the years got very, you just see a lot more. The more you do, the more you see, and the more you figure out yourself as well, because you can't kind of start to step back and just be like, well, how much can I really commit to this, and what's the payoff in the end, and what's the reward for me for the time and money and everything invested into that over so many years. You lose a lot of stuff, like your social life, and obviously you have to be very careful with your health. I was a super heavy, so realistically I got to a point nicely in my competitive career where I knew exactly what I had to do and what I had to work on. And to be honest, to be competitive, which I had enough potential to go forward and do this if I wanted to, but realistically the amount of health I kind of had to put at risk, it's not massively, it's not hugely bad, but like just over time I'm very conscious that you got to be very careful on your health. Like the little things will just nag you the rest of your life if you don't address them early enough. So what I had to put in for what I wanted out of it just didn't equal up. So after lockdown hit this year, it was going to be my last year competing, I decided to take a little bit of a step back. And it's been a very, the more I look back on it, it's been very intense. Like, god damn, like if I knew then what I knew now, I don't think it would ever stop me doing it, but it's a deep dark hole to fall into, I can tell you that. Like,
So you're stepping back just as Danny's stepping up. Danny, obviously, lifetime of jiu-jitsu, always conditioned, always trained. Since I've known you, you've put on about 20 kilos, I'd say, since you started bodybuilding?
30 now.
30 kilos. What's made you decide at this stage in life to start cracking on with that?
I had a lot of injuries in the beginning. So when I'm in the beginning all the way through my career, I was getting injuries, but I wasn't training enough physically. I was training, getting fit and stuff, but I wasn't putting enough armour on my body to protect myself. jiu-jitsu is very demanding. So if I didn't look after it, I would, obviously get more injuries. I had a really bad neck injury in 2012. That was pretty bad, so I started working more on conditioning after surgery. I've thickened up my neck, my shoulders, and I've seen I potentially put on some muscle, so I started lifting a bit more. But then dropped off again, lost weight, just because I couldn't be bothered to put on the muscle and I wanted to do more jiu-jitsu. The time I had off from the injury, I didn't have enough time on the mat, so I put all my effort to go back on the mat, and I lost so many kilos in weight, so I got down to like 75 kilos.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And how tall are you? 6'2"?
6'1".
6'1".
So I was quite light for that size.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I was picking up more injuries again, my knees, my joints started to ache. So the more muscle I put on would it protect me, and it was right, it did. I started working more on my movement with my movement coach, Paris Payne. But then I got serious into lifting with Adam Don. So that put me back on track. Then I met Will. I met Martin first, right? I met Martin.
Yeah.
Martin
Winston,
okay.
coaching coach. He introduced me to Will.
Yeah.
And that was a funny one as well.
Yeah, I had no idea who Danny was.
I was wondering what you were doing in the cardio area.
Yeah, I think
Because Martin brought him over, but I was doing cardio, he's too big to be over it.
Yeah.
That's what, we walked over, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I remember Martin introduced Danny, and we shook hands. And when Danny walked off, I said to Martin, I was like, that dude's like a 20th generation's farmer's son who's been fucking throwing hay bales around his whole life. That dude's a hard motherfucker.
Yeah.
Those hands. Like, I got big hands and his matched up to mine, but they're twice as thick and feel like concrete.
Jiu-jitsu grip.
Yeah, that's years and years of gripping older fuckers.
Yeah.
Do you find, so obviously you've got a lifetime jiu-jitsu, you would know the very microscopic of changes. So do you find the size that you've got, it changes your game at all?
It's awkward. Like, first, when I put on this much weight, it was difficult because the conditioning, the cardio wasn't there as much, and my mobility wasn't there. But now I'm adding mobility with the weights is different. I like to train with Will because he's more of a technical bodybuilder. He's not just trying to get me to lift like super heavy weight and injure myself. When I first trained with him, it's similar to me to jiu-jitsu because he was so precise on his movements and everything had to be perfect, correct. So I love training with him. Then I just picked up training with Will.
So do you you mentioned before on the air about doing deadlifts and stuff, are you like a power building sort of style of bodybuilding training, or do you?
That's my favourite way to train. I've done I've trained in powerlifting styles before. I've gone back on a deadlift program as of this week just gone actually. So I usually find that for me personally, if I'm training posterior chain, everything seems to connect like the moon's align. And I fortunately love deadlifts and everything around it. So block pulls, pause deadlifts, using different bars, SSBs, just working on your glute firing pattern. I think it's massively important for people to have a strong posterior chain in any kind of sport they're doing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You look at like gymnasts who have a massive core conditioning and obviously posterior chain strength. They've got to have that. You've got to have that, strength to weight ratio, and they train completely differently. Like a lot of their stuff is going to be central nervous system training, because they're just so sharp and so precise. But you see a gymnast that always goes to, if you want to go into another sport, like transfer to another sport, you always see they excel.
I can imagine that level of strength is something that you'd never reach with a set of weights, really, is it? That with the crucifix holds and things like that, you're never going to do it. So that carryovers must carry
jiu-jitsu, a lot of isometric holds. So I felt like I had the advantage when I went to lifting.
Yeah.
It wasn't too much of a strain.
Your twitch fibers will be really
when I was
ingrained
over training, when I met you, I would do a session. Then he would come in and I was like, I'll do another one if you want.
And then do like an hour of cardio.
It's like 1,000 calorie burn after.
Yeah.
So I was wondering why I was maintaining.
That's the Domazowski rep.
At one point I kept on my size.
But then you take that, and then I did like 15-minute leg session with you once.
Yeah.
In pure, and you keeled over.
Yeah, and then he died. Honestly, I thought I was training legs. Right, I never train legs, even though I've got big legs. I just don't train them. They're just jiu-jitsu thick,
Yeah.
But then when he took me for a session, I just couldn't walk out properly.
So what do you base your leg training around? Do you like squat based or?
Oh man, the first thing I learned, I was like, the first rule I learned about legs: if you want good legs, learn how to tolerate pain. Simple as that. It's a lot of time and attention.
Yeah.
If you want big legs, time and attention, a lot of repetition, a lot of volume, but a lot of blood flow, and you want to literally, you don't want to fuck about. So like Danny would, be doing like 5, 6 sets of X amount of reps. And I'm like, right, we're going to do a warm up, we're going to do a heavy, and then we're going to do a widow maker, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or we do one warm up, one widow maker. I don't want to fuck you up on that one set.
I used to watch down at Core Fitness. We used to watch Stuart Core training people and Amy Quick training people, and they would just be non-stop for like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
that bodybuilding method.
In all fairness, there's one thing about Stu's gym. One thing I can say is they know how to train.
Yeah. Me as a powerlifter, I'd be like, I'm having 5 minutes rest in between. So I'm the only person in that gym that's using the squat rack, and I'm sitting down between sets, and people are going, "What's this guy doing? He comes in for like 2 hours. We're in for 45 minutes. We have a flex, and we leave."
Yeah.
You don't train that long, do we?
No.
When we did this.
No. When I'm really like, I want to get back to a very consistent training pattern, because one thing I really do enjoy is training, but I tend to just like make messages. You want to go and like train some shoulders? I'll just go and train shoulders for the sake of like almost hanging out. And it tends to, when you're doing that a couple of times a week, it fucks up a good training and recovery program. And I typically will like have like one core compound I'm working on and tracking each week, making sure if at least I can progress in one way or another, or just at least hit safe that last weight that I had. So whether if it's even adding like an 1/8 of a pound each week, or maybe 1 rep, at least you're making some kind of progress. And that's not going to be linear or perfect throughout, but at least you're gauging that you're going somewhere over time, right?
Yeah.
So that's one. I'll do one big things for me, particularly for chest, like I'll do a floor press, because I've only seen anything. The only thing I've seen from training bench is injuries. Every single time. And maybe I don't bench right. I think I bench technically very, very well. But more likely is that I've got an imbalance in my shoulders, and that's probably why.
Do you train the sort of powerlifting elbows in bench, or are you bodybuilder out wide on working my pecs?
My elbows always stay tucked in.
Okay. See, I find most people I find while training with them hurt their shoulders are people that they're really trying to focus out wide and pec activation.
I used to be able to do that a long time ago. I used to work really well for growing chest. There's one thing I don't really have a problem with anymore. But I've got shoulder injuries, and now
I'm very got a problem building anyway, to be honest with you.
No, not really.
No, you're a big dude. How many calories a day roughly are you consuming to keep that amount of size on?
I haven't tracked in a long time. When I got to my prep for this year was quite interesting. So I had a couple of surgeries last year, which kind of knocked me back. So I'm like, I want to do a good off season. I've never actually done a proper off season. I normally just disappear, kind of eat a bit more food, and then come back, and then boom, I've actually added muscle. So I've been quite lucky, but never actually worked at it. And I thought, I'm going to do a proper off season, blow up as big as possible, and then go into a prep. And so I got to Christmas, and I had another couple months left, and I was like, no, fuck it, I'm done. Like, I can't eat any more food. And I was at 7,200 calories a day, so 7,200. And it was just
painful.
Yeah, it sucked.
And then I actually took a break eating over Christmas.
Yeah.
Dropped a couple of kilos just from, I was just eating whatever I wanted over Christmas, but it was still nowhere near the calories I was having on the day when I was forcing it in. And then, went straight into a prep. I was like, fuck food. I hate it.
Yeah, it's visual, isn't it?
Now I'm like, cool, like I've been kind of off any kind of like proper plan or anything for a couple months now. Very minimal gear. I'm on like a TRT dose of tests. Just fucking eating everything. I'm really like taking advantage of it, because I dropped a bit of size, and now I'm not very conscious, but a little bit conscious. So I feel small. Like I want a t-shirt.
Feel small.
Yeah.
See him walk in.
How much do you weigh?
At the moment, 112 kilos.
112 kilos, and I feel small. Yeah, all right. You touched on a couple of things there, which we can sort of drag out a little bit more. Gear. You say you're on a TRT dose. What stage in your training did you switch over and decide, okay, I'm going to start couple of peds in the system?
Because when I didn't need it, as soon as I decided I wasn't competing anymore, I was like, yeah, I'll just bring that back in. And yeah, I might like run a bit of primo here and there. I like primo.
So
What does it do? It's just a lot more people more than anything know about gear probably know equipoise more than know primo. Very similar compounds. It gives like a fuller, nice, polished look. Obviously, it increases the amount of time, it reduces the amount of time it takes to recover between training sessions. But it just gives a very pleasant look and feel. It's just a nice compound you can use whether you want to get look a little bit leaner, look a bit bigger. And in terms of like actual side effects, they're very minimal. Whereas with like equipoise, it's very similar, but you get like a red blood cell count problems. You get high RBC, like high hematocrit. So you want to possibly get phlebotomy done every couple of months if you're doing that, or at least donate some blood, which is difficult because you don't want to give dodgy blood to a donated blood donation charity.
Yeah.
a whack in the nose.
You're better off getting a phlebotomy bag, either going to a professional, or if you've got a nurse that's a friend, get them to take a pint of blood every couple of months so you keep that hematocrit down, because that's one thing that already over time will actually damage you more than anything. Because one, it could cause a heart attack, which is the main concern, but two, you would actually struggle to make any kind of gains. Your blood's so thick you can't deliver nutrients. You're not going to partition them as efficiently either.
That's interesting.
You know, so not only that, but you're working harder to actually push blood around the body. So you may want to like do a few things. You might say, right, I can't get blood taken at the moment for a couple of weeks. I'm on a low dose aspirin, which is something most people should consider anyway. Like a 75 milligram dose of aspirin a day has been shown to reduce your risk of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, hundreds of things.
Well, my mum's been taking it. She had a stroke, and she's been on that ever since then.
Yeah.
Most
You look at who was at a stroke recently, John Meadows, a brilliant bodybuilder coach. He had a heart attack, and he was talking to his doctor, and they even says like John's been an advocate of taking a baby aspirin a day for these reasons, and he had said over the last couple of months he'd been really slack with it. And they both agreed that if he had actually been taking his aspirin every day, it probably would have been avoided.
Yeah.
So it was one of those kind of, it was almost like a fake heart. No, you had a proper heart attack.
Yeah.
It was a fake heart attack. Where he had a legit heart attack, but it's not like he was chronically on the edge of having a severe heart attack and dying. He was a massively healthy man. It was a sort of fluky heart attack, you know.
Like a warning attack, or like a
like he had no actual kind of signs of anything that was they wouldn't have picked it up. It was just a freak heart attack.
Yeah.
So it's not something he really needs to concern himself with. But the main thing is him and his doctor agreed that if he'd done the aspirin every day, it may have been avoided. And he would go on with the rest of his life without ever having a complication.
That's interesting. Most guys who don't train think about steroids in the same way that women think about any sort of barbell. That if you touch it once, you're going to explode, and that's it. You're going to be packed with muscle. How much
brilliantly funny
gain do you actually think it gives you?
Very little. I mean, you take someone. The difference between someone like me and someone that goes to the gym who's fills out a t-shirt a little bit is like I've designed my body to be like an F1 car. Where everything's checked: the clutch, the gearbox, the tyres, the fuel, everything that goes into that car is monitored, weighed, checked again, and that's what over years, the foods I've eaten, the style of trainings I've had, the cardio, the recovery procedures, the mobility work, the chiropractic, the physio, the deep tissue massages, making sure your skin's nice, like it fucking adds up. And then you wonder why you see someone like me in the gym who I'm aware that I'm in good shape, but I think I'm pretty average, to be honest. But when the difference of like someone that's got a small waist and big thighs and nice calves and their arms match their chest and they're just like nicely X-framed, that's because that's been worked on, like a piece of art over the course of ever since I've started, which is 11, 12 years old, compared to the guy that goes to the gym, eats some chicken, takes a little bit of tests. Yeah, you know, he's strong, he looks alright, but he hasn't got those chiseled abs, that tiny waist for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the chiseled abs and all that sort of shit that come with it. That's the bit that, you know, that's the fine tuning most people don't get, and people do think, and I know most people think, oh, like what everyone will say if you point out someone, if I'm in work or whatever, so and so rare, doesn't matter who it is, they'll always go, yeah, but he's on steroids, don't he? And you go, well, yeah, he might be, but he also gets up at 6 o'clock in the fucking morning, does fasting cardio. He also fucking eats a controlled calorie diet. He also trains fucking blah 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 blah. But yeah, most laymen don't get that at all.
No.
You touched on a couple of times. You feel small at the moment. You said, like, you know, you feel like you're a bit average. What do you think it is about this sort of training that is in your mind that you're trying to achieve? Where are you trying to
go? I guess that's a really hard answer for most bodybuilders if you ask them.
You're going to do jiu-jitsu, man.
Huh?
You're going to do jiu-jitsu, that's your next thing.
Yeah,
You're going to get big jiu-jitsu.
We do a lot of jiu-jitsu. I'm going to do like a sober October jiu-jitsu.
Just jiu-jitsu.
Marathon.
Have you been training?
I was up until lockdown, and we're just like kicking it back off again, aren't we?
Yeah. Have you been? I saw the photo that was shared. You were in no gi. Do you do any gi training?
No, not yet.
I don't think they make them that big.
I used to do.
Stitch two together.
Yeah, I used to do a bit of jiu-jitsu a couple of years back. I spent a little bit of time doing it, so it was nice. Like we only did a couple of sessions in. It was coming back.
Have you got the hip mobility and everything for it?
No.
No.
He's very agile, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a natural athlete. It's just unfortunate that I'm a lot bigger than I used to be, so injuries are very easy for me to develop. Just because
my ability on top of the strength.
Yeah. Being that big and being mobile, there's not many people that can move. I mean, even like when you go in the powerlifting community, all the super heavyweights, they look like they're struggling to walk in the fucking gym. They can get a squat to depth, but that's only because they've got like 300-400 kilos in their fucking back.
Yeah, I'm fairly agile, and I'm still pretty quick as well.
Yeah, surprising to be fair.
So where does that come from? So you said you're an athlete. What other athletic endeavours? You mentioned rugby earlier. What's kept you moving?
Just throughout, like, you know, being at school, like anything and everything, I was always like, you know, like the 200 meter, you know, 400 meter, 100 meter, like, so I always knew I'd do really well in them. You know, I'll be on up with one or two other boys in the class. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably up against that.
Sprint race we had. You're pretty fast on that one.
Yeah, it's like
just behind
10
me.
key heavier than you.
Yeah, 10 key heavier, but he's just behind me.
I opened up, didn't I?
You opened up and popped your hamstring a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he could stop though. I think he was just.
That's the
We said that excellent momentum.
It's funny because I was like, right now I'm going to open up, and I was like, oh, there's my hamstring. Like,
Did you stop?
I actually held it for a little bit, but I couldn't push it anymore.
But we just did kettlebells, didn't we?
Yeah.
Kettlebells and running.
Do you think there's? And I always think this about most bodybuilder or anyone really that takes it to a certain level in the sport. Is there something inside that you're trying to beat with the training? Are you trying to?
Honestly, with most people, it's them against themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean.
Every time, like all the bodybuilders get up and look at themselves every single day in the mirror, like first thing first, like after taking a piss. Yeah, all right, yeah, like we'll work on this, work on that, and it's very much just a self-obsessed, just got to make yourself look better every day kind of mentality, and it's very hard to. It's very hard to establish which ones have like a genuine problem, and the ones that can actually like. You see a lot of guys. I tell you what, you actually see quite a lot of pros that when they finish like the Olympia, like Flex Lewis, a few other athletes, they actually just don't train. Don't train. They just go and eat whatever they want. They come off cycle and just for a straight month or two do nothing and fully recover. Mm-hmm. The ones that can do that clearly have a very good mental place where they can literally just turn on and off like a light switch. And I feel like that's how I've been for the last couple of years. Is I can literally, like right now, if I decided that I was in shit shape, I could just flick the light switch and be like, right, the rest of the day I'm just gonna eat chicken and water, and then I'm gonna go in for a late session tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be up doing cardio, and I'll just over the course of a couple of weeks absolutely hammer it, and then I can just like flip the switch back off and be like, oh, cool, I'm gonna have some pizzas a week now.
Do you now that you're coming away with the competitive side, and you did say you're feeling small at the moment, or you don't look fucking small at all. Is the focus for you size or shape, or is it both? Or are you conditioning? Like where are you balancing?
With me, it's just to fill out or get a bit bigger. All I got to do is eat a bit more. It's hard. Like I burn a lot of calories, so I have to force it in. So addressing that issue isn't a problem. I'm just going to eat more. In terms of my training, like I've definitely since I've stopped training for the idea of competing, my training is like split between two things: functionality and actually still looking good. So functionality and performance and actually looking good. So I always go in with, like I said, like a one exercise that I'm going to work on. So it might be, if it was leg day, SSB squat, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do a few things around it, like maybe some box jumps to help with things like central nervous system training, and also just hip mobility and all sorts of things like that. So you've got like some technical things in there as well. And then I'm going to go on the leg press and absolutely fucking hammer my legs over several hundred reps.
Several hundred reps?
Yeah, fuck it. Why not? Like,
I'm really did it with Cass with me.
I might be like, you know what, I'm going to do 300 reps in 6 minutes. Something like that. You can just, I just, every time
That's with an empty leg press, no plates?
Whatever. I'll just, if there's some on it, I'll just sit on it. I'll be
fucking
like,
wouldn't.
I could probably do 20 and then do like 100.
I couldn't do, I couldn't even dream of it. Sounds absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said, I've got like a few exercises that are there and they're on the plan. I'm sticking to them, so I know I've got something to monitor.
Yeah.
Then I'll just mong out on the rest.
Do you find, for me personally, I find when I've been at my best athletically has been when my external or my internal head has been a little bit fucked. Like when I've got something to escape. Do you find in any way, like if you're throwing yourself into your training a lot harder than normal, is it because there's other stuff going on?
When I'm like rock solid, like tunnel vision is when like the world's on fire around me.
Yeah.
Every single time. If everything's going a little bit too sweet, it's a little bit too easy.
That's right.
Like I've got to suffer to really get motivated.
Yeah, I agree. I find like if I'm all hunky dory and coming in the gym having a laugh, I'm in a good mood. Like I will not train to the point where like there's that self harm fucking side of things when you're like, right, fuck this, I'm ripping that deadlift until my back breaks.
I did a 2-week prep just for fun once. That was last year at the Southwest, and it was just funny. I was in okay shape because I've been doing a bit of everything. And one of my mates was like, jested at the idea of me competing in 2 weeks. And he was like, you could probably do it. I was like, yeah, I probably can. I woke up the next morning, had like a massive stack of buttermilk pancakes. I was like, yeah, all right, we're going to do it. And I went over to the gym, got on the Stairmaster, and I pretty much was eating something like 1,400 calories a day when I'm normally on a diet on like 5,000 calories.
Yeah.
And then doing like double weight, double cardio sessions. I remember I passed out on the treadmill like twice. I'd never felt so shit in my life. And I ended up coming second by 1 point. 1 point to this guy that turned up, and I knew it was between me and him straight away. And he just had the edge, and it was funny because the two head judges, Warren Dyson and Ryan Alexander, they both were like, oh, we both had you, and the other 3 judges had the other guy. So it was on 1 point. He was like, if you were hair sharper, you would have taken it, would have been a whitewash. And looking back at the pictures, I was like, I was pretty fucking happy about it actually. And it was my 2-week diet, and I did the Europeans 2 weeks later.
How did you get on there?
I wanted top 3 and I got it. So that's it. Like I did 4 weeks of minging dieting when you normally want to spread out over like 12 or 16, for me particularly.
You've mentioned prep a couple of times. For people outside of the bodybuilding world, prep's what your routine to get into. What's in an ideal world, what would be your standard prep for a comp?
It worked out pretty perfect this year round actually, where I got sick of food. So I got sick of food. I spent like a week or 2 taking a break from it, and at that point, like any kind of excess nitrogen or glucose or water that is normally sitting in you from inflammation and stuffing yourself full of so many calories until you're sick, has kind of like passed away. So like that's gone now. You're a really nice kind of across the board on your body, everything's stabilised, you've got an equilibrium, you know, you're feeling a little bit healthier as well. And then I'll do things like, you know, throwing a little bit of cardio, just a little bit, like 10-15 minute walk in the morning. And then diet's already been tidied up a little bit and the scale just starts coming back down and you start getting a little bit tighter. And then you do something like, you might, I'm throwing like a low day every third day on my calories, so I'll take out like a couple hundred calories. And then, you know, again, you just keep on getting leaner. And then the weights just like starts going further for me, like down and down and down, and I start done refeeds. So I put refeed in and that just fires up my metabolism even more. Before I know it, like we're increasing calories, dropping out cardio, start making slight adjustments, like maybe adding some clenbuterol, just like a hair clenbuterol or some thyroxine, like it's a little bit T3, like 12.5, 25 micrograms.
What's that do?
So thyroxine is like basically it just elevates your metabolism within the body. So your thyroid elevates your amount of thyroxine you're releasing within your body. So you start eating through calories. You have to be very careful with it though, like especially guys that are bigger. If you start using a little bit too much thyroxine, you actually start eating at muscle. That's how potent it is. It's just a hair, like for me, I find it makes me like more consistent on the toilet as well, because it helps like, it seems to help with gastric emptying. And when you're dieting, like sometimes you can experience a little bit of like constipation, and that's the last thing you want to do when you're trying to maintain like a tiny waist. So these are things like you have to think of, you know, like
Science, isn't it?
yeah, a little bit, but not too much. Like I try to say, like, you know what, try and learn as much as you can, but weed out the bullshit. So like a lot of people like will just go over the top of things, like, you know, just some people will be so anal that, you know, they might force down like 6 chicken meals a day just because they're scared of having a scoop of whey protein, when it can make their life so much easier. Like for me, sometimes I like getting home and just like having a bowl of oats, a cream of rice, hot water in there, throwing a scoop of whey protein, and it's done in like 30 seconds. I eat it. You know, it's easy, and because they're you know, they're prepping, and you know, the sucralose and the sweeteners might cause them to hold water. They won't eat it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, calm down. You know.
Did you make a lot of mistakes, like starting out?
I would say that's probably why I've got such a good knowledge base now, because I made loads of mistakes.
It's the best way to learn.
Yeah, that is how you learn. So Danny, you're sort of, just like we say in the past, about a year or so you started bodybuilding?
Well, I wouldn't say it's bodybuilding, I was trying to put
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry. Bulking up, I should say, sorry.
Bulking up, but bodybuilding came in when I met like Martin.
Are you following the same sort of protocols Will's talking about now? Are you trying to get down and get lean and?
Nah, not so much. I'm already quite lean now, aren't I? So
Yeah,
he wants to get me up to like 110.
Danny's not got a problem with being lean.
Yeah, no, I do know.
He's got a problem of eating the amount of calories that he needs to put on weight.
So I'll burn like 6,000, 7,000 a day.
Yeah.
Easy. Then
Yeah.
try and eat that.
And
more on top of that.
it's a constant battle between not only just getting calories in, but allowing his digestion to be comfortable enough for him to perform every day as well.
Yeah, I suppose you're doing jiu-jitsu
If
all day.
If he sat down all day and was able to eat, he would probably still suck, like he would still suffer.
Yeah.
But you'd be able to get his calories in. But having to, you know, get all those, a lot of foods that, you know, that we keep in the diet, even though it's not perfectly clean, so like voluminous, you know, like chicken breast is voluminous, beef is voluminous, salmon is still voluminous, you know, everything's just full of volume, rice, potatoes, you know.
Yeah,
so
we throw easy cows too.
Yeah,
Pop-Tarts and
we throw Pop-Tarts, cereal, Rice Krispie bars, nuts, nut butter, you know, dense things like, if he wants to eat out a couple of times a week, I don't give a fuck, like, he needs it.
Yeah.
It's hard to get those calories in.
Do you think it's a case of you just got shit hot genetics and you just naturally burn up fat, or do you think it's due down to the fact that a lifetime of consistently training doing jiu-jitsu?
I was always trying to be light to compete, or you know, to be a martial artist. You look at Bruce Lee, that's what a martial artist looks like, right? So I always wanted to be lean and, you know, be able to fly if I need to, you know, run around and just be an athlete. But once you start putting muscle on all those other things, you can't do. Like I played basketball, didn't I?
Yeah.
At quite a good level. But if I try to play basketball net this size, it's not going to work out for me. So I have to have that trade-off. Do I get bigger and lose all my other athletic abilities?
Yeah, obviously you can't have it all. Do you think, so if you were to sort of like compete in jiu-jitsu at the weight you are now, would you be at the same level as you were when you were lighter?
No, I'd tire out much quicker.
Yeah.
And if I was to compete, it'd only be for fun anyway. I'm a self-defense instructor, martial arts instructor. If I lose a jiu-jitsu match, doesn't mean any more than me to lose a basketball match or a rugby match. It doesn't really bother me. But I'd compete at this weight. Doesn't mean I'd win, but I've never competed this big, so might as well give it a go.
Have you got plans to?
I would like to, but it's difficult. It's probably like him. You invest so much time and money into it, with not much return. When I could be at my school teaching full time, putting my effort into other people compared to myself. So it takes a lot of money in your pocket, and if you get injured, then you're out for God knows how long. So financially, it'd have to be money. And I don't love it enough to compete.
We all like money.
We all like money, yeah. But it's not something like if it's something else like I'm passionate about, I don't need money for it. But a jiu-jitsu match to me, a sport jiu-jitsu match doesn't mean a lot. Like I respect it a lot, but it's not my passion. My passion is teaching and passing my knowledge on, and getting kids, women and men just to be able to defend themselves. It's not to compete one bit. Don't really care or take it if it's there. Someone offers me a couple of grand to fight, of course I will. Don't bother. If I win, lose, don't bother me either. But at this weight, I just want to see what would happen against a heavyweight. Because there's always weight classes, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. What range, so heavyweight in jiu-jitsu, what's the weight range there?
I think it's like over 100 now.
Anything over 100 plus. There isn't a super heavyweight category.
Might be something, plus, but I think over 100 is much. They're big dudes, isn't it? So,
yeah, definitely.
And I just want to see what happens if I do compete at that weight.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to see.
Yeah, it's just good to try, isn't it? At this age, I'm 35. It's not too many years I can compete. So.
Tyson's just come back.
Yeah,
I think so far.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think he's a monster.
He's a monster. It's just age is a factor. With something like jiu-jitsu, maybe not so much because it's it's technique, and if you're not going to get hit in the head and knocked out. It's not as dangerous. I mean, once you get older, your brain kind of doesn't take those hits as well. With jiu-jitsu, if you get submitted or you get your arm broken, you're fixed in 6 weeks. But you could end up.
I think from listening to Tyson when he was on Joe Rogan the other day, what we've seen, the publicity stuff, it looks fucking phenomenal when you think, oh my god, Tyson's back. But he did say on the one promo video that he made, he had to go to bed for 4 days afterwards because he was fucked, and it was a 30-second promo. He's swinging at the pants.
He continued fighting, but if you look at it from his career from acting, like the weight he put on and the weight he dropped off, and maybe the abuse of drugs or whatever, it was going to play a big toll. And Jones is only just retired, really, not too long ago. So he'll still have that mentality.
Yeah, the competitive.
Tyson went not soft, but even said he hasn't got that killer instinct anymore.
No,
switch it back on, it's very difficult. You may feel like you can, but I'm interested to see the fight. But yeah, it's very dangerous for people.
If you look at the mentality from when he did interviews when he wasn't training, when he was all like trying to like spiritually crush his ego, going off smoking DMT in the woods and frogs and shit, his like demeanour is completely different to how it is now. He's back training. He's a lot more like angry. There's a lot more aggression in him, which obviously is coming back, but the aggression isn't everything.
Is it a good thing? Or?
Well, it's good if he's fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, not good for
It's not young Tyson.
But aggression at that age is
Tyson.
Why for me?
It did. What came across to me was in his sort of like hippier interviews, he was a lot more like family oriented and stuff. And in this one, he was like, no, like they're coming second now, fighting's first. And you think, well, yeah, you're a 50-year-old dude. Maybe your wife should come first now.
Yeah, I'm not saying like you shouldn't fight. What I'm saying at that time of life, I think you should have different goals, more healthier goals, and maybe you could turn into a coach and really bring someone on instead of trying to look for personal goals, like I said just now.
Yeah, so there's that one hit.
That's all it takes. Well, for either side.
Yeah, absolutely.
They could end his everything, can it? So I just like Tyson so much. I don't want him to get hurt or anyone to get
There's
hurt.
that ego side of things, and that like when you've experienced something at that level, it must be so hard to let go. I think being a superhero on that level to then being like, I'm not a fighter anymore, and I'm just like this dude who's got a tattoo on his face must be difficult.
You just got to be honest with yourself, though, ain't you? I mean, if that was what he wanted to do in the beginning, he should have stayed a little bit more focused and disciplined and not fucked around so much. But
being honest,
his time may have passed.
Honest with yourself is probably the hardest fucking thing to do, though, isn't it?
But you should be. Like, I'm honest with myself. Like as I said, like if I could probably go in and lose if I do a jiu-jitsu match. Doesn't make too much difference to me. But the honesty is there. I potentially would probably lose. And that's everyone's reality when they go into a fight. You got to be honest about it. You got to be honest with your training too. If you're going in feeling like you're better than you are because you're only training with people around you that know you and you're used to it, that's when you got to go in and search for other sparring partners and other training partners.
Definitely.
So you can be the best in your gym or the best in your area, the best in the country, but then as soon as you venture outside, you're not anymore.
Yeah.
And when that reality hits you, and what do you do about that? Do you quit? Do you go off the rails? Or do you stay strong in the mind? I prefer to stay strong in the mind.
Yeah, lots and lots of people quit, don't they? That's just the way it is. Not many people keep it going for a lifetime, especially not as long as yourself and other people.
For years, I've been through a lot. I've been good, I've been beat, the best, I've been the worst.
Did you compete for a long time when you were younger?
When I was a kid, it was like the teenage years, was more kickboxing. And
right.
I did weaponry, I was a British champion, like a screamer. And then my dad always said, you can't fight. One day I was like, what do you told me you can't fight? He said, you can't grapple. He's seen Hoist win the UFCs. So he was like, you got to go train with Hoist. Like, I'm going to train with Hoist. He's in California. He said he's got a seminar in England and you're going to go. So I went and that was it. But it wasn't me that wanted to do jiu-jitsu. My dad told me, he wound me up and said, you can't fight, so you got to learn to grapple.
What was your dad's background?
Dad's background, so his dad obviously was into martial arts, so that was the start. So he got into boxing, judo, then he did Shotokan, karate, then weaponry. He bought all the Eskrima here in 1985, he was the first. Then after that, Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do. And that was my years then, Wing Chun and Jeet Kune Do, and Eskrima from 1985. That's when he formed the academy. So that's what I run now. He still teaches there, but I run the day-to-day stuff with my wife. So he's still teaching, going strong. But his background was basically lifetime of martial arts. He started me, he was like properly training when he was 15, but he did boxing and judo as a kid. But fully focused on martial arts from age 15, he's 65.
No way, that's awesome. I didn't know his background. That's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Do you think like
all the Bruce Lee students he trained with?
Really?
Yeah, all of them. I met more as well, and they're all past him now. They're getting older, so yeah, he was legit. He trained with the best.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
So it gave me the confidence when I was training with him.
Yeah, so
you train with the best, and my dad trains with Bruce Lee students, and it just gave me confidence. And I think the biggest word for a kid is confidence. Like as a kid, is just to see everyone doing well, and I can aspire to be that. And I had that with my dad in my house. So instead of looking for a role model, I had my dad.
Yeah, already there.
Great, yeah.
Will, you started training bodybuilding wise as a kid as well. Do you think that, I know a lot of people, they come in later on in life, personally I was like mid-20s before I even did anything athletic. I was a surfer and that was it, that was all I cared about before I even ever went into a gym.
Surfing's hard.
Well, it is and it isn't.
Freaking hard for me.
Well, it's because you're logging around every 5 kilos. So do you think like people coming in a little bit later, some people come in and start like jiu-jitsu classes where people turn up at like 40 years old coming in, disadvantaged completely, or do you think it's always an open door?
It's a time for them. Like the benefits, you shouldn't be thinking about who can I do it and who can I be. It's the benefits of how it's going to help your life. Is it going to make you a better person? Is it cleaning up your health? Because you're training and your diet's got to get better. Is it a release from your work day? Is it a release from family? Is it a release from stress? You're in that moment then for an hour where you're just focusing on you. All the outside problems are gone. So it doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter to me whether you start martial arts or bodybuilding or something that just makes your life better. I don't think it's too late to start anything if you're enjoying it and it's fixing problems.
No, definitely. I've seen guys that's never trained before going to a gym like late 20s for a year or two, start a little bit of this, got a good foundation already, and bang, you got someone that looks like a pro bodybuilder. You get these freaks that come out of nowhere, and that's genetics. Yeah,
genetics are a massive part. Obviously, everybody does improve in certain ways, but there are certain people that are just like, what the fuck?
Now, there's a difference between someone that's genetically gifted and someone that's mentally capable.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a couple of freaks out there right now, like who could be a pro level bodybuilder. They don't fucking know that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Walking's very talented, like super talented. But they don't train enough. They'll come like once a month. Then you got this other guy that's not talented at all, and he can't do nothing when he first comes in, but trains all day, every day.
Forces his body to do something.
Forces himself to do it. He's got the will to do it, and that'll override talent any day.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Like I've seen like people walk in, I think, I hope he stays. Then no, something happens and he's gone. But then this other guy I won't even see him, and they're coming up from behind. It's like, oh crap. You snuck up on me.
Yeah.
He's in there every day.
Yeah, so they're building that proper real foundation.
And then that talent comes back and he's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go again after like 2 or 3 months. Hey, go against this guy. I wasn't very good before. oh, he gets trashed. Then see what happens to that talented guy again. There's a crusher's mentality. How strong is he in the mind? It's all mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't really look for talent anymore. It helps, but I look for the person's dedication and the desire to improve. Nothing else.
It's nice when you get the unicorn, you know, the one that's talented and
yeah, they walk in too often.
driven. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at the minute, I mean, we've got people that are talented, 100% talented, just see if they drop off or not. Like,
Yeah.
Sam's super talented, but he's had training in his, he's had little ups and downs in his training. But if he gets like one hard push now, that's it. But if he has one drop off now, it's probably over. So it's that, you know, it's that.
That drive to keep going, yeah.
Yeah. If he goes for it now, he's going to be Bellator, UFC, 100%, no doubt in my mind. But if he falls back like he has done in the past, then it's over. And that's just what happens to athletes, isn't it? So,
Yeah, like loads of athletes fall.
yeah.
And there's
It's happened to
probably...
me, like I was flying and all of a sudden I get an injury or my dedication drops off. Life just happens as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You know, you
yeah.
get family and stuff like that and your focus is changed, which is...
In any
so it should be.
athletic endeavour, we probably haven't seen the greatest of anything because they have to have found it and they have to have found the motivation and the drive to keep going. There are probably people that could have been the greatest boxers of all time, greatest sprinters, greatest bodybuilders that just did it for a bit and didn't bother it, or never did it.
Yeah. But as long as, I just think, don't matter what you're trying to do with it, just be honest with yourself. And if you're doing it for self-improvement, that's what you need to focus on.
Yeah.
But if you really do want to be the UFC champion or the Bellator champion, you've got to act like one. If you're not acting like one, you're probably not going to get there. So just as far as what you want to be, just make a clear goal, and that's what I want to do, and then do all the steps in between to make that happen.
How have you, so you've been training people for forever.
Mm-hmm.
How far have people that you've trained gone? What's the...
So Harry was our biggest success because he went to Bandline, he won the British Championship pretty quickly too. He only trained me for 3 years. Then we were looking at like Cave Warriors, and you know, when a show came to England from the UFC, we were going to stick him in there. But he got an injury to his knee, and that's it. So then we had a few other people coming up behind, but at that time I wasn't interested in the MMA program whatsoever because I wanted to focus on self-defense. I could cater for more people in self-defense than I could for MMA. There's only a few that want to do that. Like, really want to do it. They'll play at it and they want to put it on social media like they're training MMA because it's good for their profile. But the people that really want to do it and put their heart into it, they get chinned every day of the week and they still come back.
Yeah.
You know, they're few and far between. But there's a few coming up now. Like Sam's obviously top of the list where he could enter Bellator now if he wants to. There's a few lightweights coming up behind. Like, we're gonna have to watch out for them. I'm teaching the MMA now. Sean was teaching it before.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching it now. I didn't really realise what kind of talent we had in the gym. But like I said, I can see they're talented, but all I care about is that they turn up. If they're not turning up, I become disinterested. Because I know I can't do nothing with them if they're not there. I can encourage them, I can call them on the phone, come on, turn up to training, but that should come from them. So it shouldn't come from my energy. So that's the bit I'm struggling with MMA students. Self-defense students are a bit different. They're here for a lifestyle. They always turn up to training. MMA is different. You turn up and you're going to get punched in the head. It's very difficult to wake up and think, crap, I'm going to get punched in the head tonight. So yeah, this big success was Harry, but there's other people coming through. But that was our biggest one so far. Jamie Reynolds did really well as well. He did great. Shane Ingram did well. He fought good. He's not with us anymore. He trained somewhere else, but he got to some good European fights. He fought in Denmark and he got a good following over there. So we've done well.
Awesome.
We focus on it, we're going to do better.
Do you think lads going into sort of like, MMA being the thing that it is now, which it wasn't years ago, obviously the background was people, different martial arts disciplines, and then combining them together, look, your background, Sam's background, other fighters. Do you think people coming in now, they watch UFC and they go, oh, I want to be an MMA athlete, coming in, starting the ground floor, trying to learn a couple of disciplines at once, do you think that is a productive way of doing things?
Yeah, I think it's good to learn both at the same time. I don't know if you've learned how to play guitar and sing at the same time, but anyway, if you learn one, then you try and add the music after, it becomes very difficult. It's good to like strum along and then sing at the same time. So I just like, if you can manage all these things where you're doing jiu-jitsu and a bit of kickboxing, you're doing your conditioning outside, they're easier to merge because you learn them at the same time. If you become really good at one and it shoots up too far, then this one you've got to catch up on. This one suffers anyway. Yeah. Because you're doing more of this one's falling, then you meet at the bottom, you're at this level. But if you keep pushing one at the same time, they don't usually drop again. So that's why I like to train them. But then again, some people pick up stuff quicker than others. But in our jiu-jitsu program, we're always striking.
Yeah, you mentioned that before.
Our jiu-jitsu has striking, so it shouldn't be too.
Is that yours or is that Gracie Jiu-Jitsu?
That's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. That's jiu-jitsu in general. It's not. That's a jiu-jitsu was designed to beat a self-defense system. It was striking, throwing, grappling, even the philosophies in there. Stand-up self-defense techniques against surprise attacks. Someone gets you in a headlock and they're in straight. You should know how to deal with it. It's very different to being on the mat with no strikes to on the mat with strikes.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do usually in a sports setting, which is brilliant because that's just the way they do it, but they don't have strikes. As soon as you start hitting, everything has to
Different
change.
ball
The
game.
position has to change. You can't grab a collar in a sleeve and have two hands occupied when someone can stamp on your head, or an outside. A stranger just wants to stamp on your head because they see a fight. It's like you've been straight up and stamped on the head and kicked in the face by people that weren't even involved.
Yeah.
So the dynamic changes when there's weapons involved and all this kind of stuff. You can't really compare it.
Awesome. Well, going back to you, so you've coaching Danny. You coach some other guys. Have you had any other guys that you've coached up through that have been successful?
Yeah, I've had a few guys go on to be purely pros. I've had some very, very good, some people who went on to the British Champs have done really well, and some PCA shows and whatnot. But I don't really do a lot of coaching. I usually take on people that come to me who have known me for a while, typically, and it might be something I'll get back into in the future. I have one guy that's done really well. Just over the course of every show, he's won every show he's done. He's doing another one. He's 4 weeks out at the moment. His name's Am, and he's back with me again for another win, another show, another win. Oh, no doubt he woke up today looking brilliant. Actually, he had a pretty shit time over the course of the week, and his body just looked tired. So I gave him a bit of a protocol over the last couple of days, and he's looked the best he has yet today out of nowhere, which was great. So
I remember he told me to just take a week off because my body was feeling crap. I took the week off, and after that, I just went back to normal.
Yeah, normally that's fine, but if you're like an ant and you're 4 or 5 weeks out, it wasn't practical. So I had to do a little bit of a different.
So when you rest with them, do they still train a little bit, or?
Yeah, so with him, I recommended something in the end as well that kind of polished it off. That I essentially told him to go down to less than 30 minutes of training, gave him a maximum amount of sets that he's allowed to do, and a maximum amount of reps. So I go in, get it done, leave. You're just going in, moving weight, getting the blood flowing, and leaving. You're not really causing any kind of damage or breakdown. I don't want any kind of inflammatory response. I also dropped his carbs down and increased his fats because carbs are very inflammatory. So that was a nice little change, and then I just had him do some salt baths over the course of a couple of nights. So salt bath, Epsom salts are magnesium based, and what they do is they actually pull crap from under the skin. So you usually get a really hot bath for like 15-20 minutes with a big bag of salts, and you'll get out all vascular, looking dry, and you'll feel exhausted. It sucks the life out of you.
It's just osmosis pulling it through your skin.
Through your skin, yeah.
That's beach prep.
Yeah. Oh man, you come out with like a full body pump, but you're exhausted, so you'll fall straight asleep.
Yeah.
And then I also recommended that we used a herbal supplement just to take the edge off towards the end of the day. It worked really nicely actually. Ant has had a past with using the herbal supplements, so it was a nice addition, and this particular one wasn't anti-inflammatory. It usually tends to mellow you out a little bit, and it works a treat.
Does it not raise his appetite a little bit then?
The CBD was
Ant's very lucky, like he gets away on a few extra calories. So, he's never moans either. If anything, like when he comes to the off season, it's hard to get calories in him again. So like me, kind of just by the end of the day, you're exhausted. Like in prep, like even though that I can get away with like 5,000 calories a day and still be shredded, like I'm exhausted because my body's still eating all those calories. It's the more food you put in, the more you burn as well.
Yeah.
So that on top of cardio, on top of mobility, and on top of making sure you're getting the shower probably twice straight, so you've trained twice.
I find it tiring.
You know, prepping all the food, eating all the food, packing it again for the next day, making sure your skin's nice again. Fucking hell, it's a long day. It's a long day being a bodybuilder. That's why I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I just like all overall balance now. I still want to be able to look good, but I can do that like on a maintenance level. Like it's pretty easy.
It's all there now, isn't it?
Yeah, you know. So like now, like life to me is like being good across the board. You know, not just in the gym, not just with your food, but everything. Like career, getting up, making your bed, getting that coffee on, getting your day started with a to-do list. You know.
What do you do outside of bodybuilding?
I need to get a proper. I've been got into kind of fucking around with the car again. So I've been trying not to do a lot because I'm trying to be good with my finances and just making sure I'm safe, putting a lot away. But I'm also the athlete manager of Strong Sports Nutrition, so typically getting quite a few events out at the moment, so a little bit travelling. So it's not. I like to do a bit of travelling. I also like to do a bit of videography, so here and there. But honestly, like I do enjoy at the moment. I really enjoy training. So most of my time at the moment is work, training. Like I've been really.
So you enjoy it more because you don't have to.
Yeah, just at the moment, like I go through phases of like really enjoying training. So I mean, I'm still like do random crap, but it's not like I just go to work, just go to the gym. But no, that's like the kind of two main factors that
You
are going on in my life.
fill that void.
Yeah. Once Danny gets you in there, they won't have any spare time available then.
Yeah, I know.
So what's the goal? What does the future hold? If you're not going to compete anymore, are you going to try and maintain pretty much the physique you've got?
I can maintain. I can get better. It is just genuinely about overall improvement all around. You know, like if I decide I want to do a show again, it might be the case, but for now it's off the cards. Like I'm not interested.
Would that just be for fun, or you want to win?
No idea, man. Depends how I feel like when I get there.
That's the difference. Is competing to really want to win.
Yeah.
Because for me, it just be compete just for fun.
Yeah, so I'm back, like I said, back into deadlifting. Hopefully that goes alright, and I'll just work on that, like on my own little thing. But honestly, man, just getting better. You know, just all around, like knowledge. You know, socially, work-wise, financially. It's just I'm always about moving forward. Like I might end up being like, well, I want to do a bit of jogging in the morning, and see how well I do over a couple of miles. But like it's hard when you're getting heavier. I do like having personal goals, like little things like with my powerlifting. I want to get back up to 300 kilo deadlift and then some. So that's my first little space marker, and then.
Any intention to compete powerlifting?
No.
No, because you don't bench.
No. Not just that. Like I don't want to. I'll injure myself.
I think so.
Like 100%. 100%. I literally tore my lat 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
That one.
Yeah.
Like
fully tore my lat.
How did you do that?
And then I probably tore my hamstring twice this year. That was deadlifting.
Yeah, I do it.
Went from it was a stiff bar, and then the deadlift bar was free. It was Texas deadlift bar, so a bit of whip to it. So I think I was warming up. It was only like 240 or something, and she took the weight from the stiff bar.
My max, all-time max, only 240.
So I put it onto the whippy bar and pulled it straight past the knees, and I just held it. It was literally like it was like you got like a Tesco shopping bag full of water, and then just like tore it. That's what it felt like the crackle of like the bag opening, and then you could feel fluid. Like I've done a lot of tears, but that was a bad one. Dropped the bar straight away, and I was like, I think I just tore my lat to Russ. And he's like, oh, you're right? And I was like, oh, I'll soon find out. So I like gave it like half an hour.
When again? Oh, okay.
No, it was bad. Yeah, it wasn't good.
How long were you out for?
All of my tricep was black and blue. Oh, I wasn't out, man. I was back training legs the next day.
You also got when you came around.
Yeah, you just work around it. So yeah, like just.
But injuries suck, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a lot. Yeah.
Nothing more soul destroying than having to stop when you don't want to. I've done my back a few times deadlifting, just got in the wrong position and pulled. With one kid.
The last year's been crazy. I had a appendix rupture last year, then I went through gyno surgery, had a few tears, I had a bunch of tears, and then I had car crash 2 months ago, tore my lat, tore my bicep.
Has that all been this year?
Within the last year.
Yeah, 2020. You're not the only one.
Yeah,
This year's cursed.
last year as well.
When did you go get your gyno sorted out?
I went to Krakow and
Yeah, my mate did that.
Yeah,
One of my mates just come back. I won't name him. He won't like me being named. But you know who you are.
Did everything we shouldn't have done. We got pissed the night before. That was an accident. We went shooting guns afterwards. Flying around on these little scooters with literally with a surgical vest on. After surgery. 25 on these little scooters. Rick nearly ate shit twice off a curb. Yeah, it was brilliant. Great place. I want to go back.
Yeah, it does look class.
Yeah, it was wicked.
Right, we've done about an hour, lads. I think we could whittle on more and more, but I think we want to save a bit for next time.
Yeah.
Will, what's next? What's in the next few weeks for you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Superhero Will. I think next weekend I'm going to be away for an event at Crayford Weights. One of the things I'm invested in recently with Strong Sports is FitX, which is an expo next year. I believe it's in April now, and it's going to be everything. So you can have I believe they're going to have a powerlifting competition there, CrossFit Games, bodybuilding, lots of bodybuilders. There's going to be a bodybuilding show, the Strong Classic. I'm not going to battle about it, but if you want something to do next year and you're heavily involved in fitness, then you would find the show.
That sounds fucking cool.
It's up in Liverpool, so the venue's incredible. It's right by the docks and right by the nightlife. So
I've just spent a week up there. It's a fucking amazing place.
Oh, it's unreal. It's so nice. But it's definitely nicer than being at the NEC and then walking out onto the motorway. But you actually can go out straight onto the town. So yeah, definitely check that out. I've got, like I said, I've got an event this weekend where we're up in Crayford Weights. They're trying to do a record lift. So we're there with some of the strong guys, and then it's going to be usually an event every other week or so. So we keep myself busy doing that and training, getting back into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Danny Mac, what's on the cards for you at the moment?
That's what I'll be doing, is teaching.
Just teaching.
Morning tonight.
We'll be getting Danny back on a few times. I'm going to drop my mic. Yeah, we'll be getting Danny back on a few times. He'll be on talking about all sorts of stuff, the academy, jiu-jitsu in general. I'm literally just about to drop this mic. You can find us on Athletic Fitness, or we're on Facebook, or I'll put a link down below, I believe, on the YouTube thing for everybody that's on here. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
See you.
Sweet.
Right, and boys, thank you. Right, send that on.
I hate you, was kicking my ass. You see me crying.